because I'm going to kind of just chill with you guys. I want to open up Unity, and I just want to give you the best workshop I can. What am I trying to say? I'm going to give you the workshop that I wish that I had gotten when I started making 3D games. There's so many little idiosyncrasies about 3D games that that nobody really told me, and that's fine. Nobody owes me anything, but it would have been nice. It would have been nice, a little bit nice, if if people would have told me some of the stuff. And a lot of it has to do with lighting and optimization and how scenes are put together. It's so crazy. I think I was pitching my first 3D game to publishers, and the truth was, deep down, I didn't even know how a 3D scene was put together. So we're gonna jump inside of Unity and take a look here. Can everybody hear me okay? Does everything sound good? I wanted to say a huge thank you. This is just like crazy. It means so much to me. I just want to say welcome to the new students who joined Full-Time Game Dev during the Black Friday sale. And the Black Friday sale is currently still going on, by the way. The link is in the description and the chat. Loic, Whitney, Montreal, Martin, Andrus, Anthony, Brian, Debochi, Seth, Lorenzo, Victor, and the rest of those guys I've shouted out like 3 times. So, and all those other people, thank you so much for joining Full-Time Game Dev. It really means a lot to me. And the reason it means a lot to me is because, obviously it helps the channel and it helps support the development of Twisted Tower. But more importantly, it does support your future in 2026. And I really believe that because it's just crazy. I look at all these students who went full time, and I'm like, oh, so like I'm not full of crap. Like there's always a little bit of insecurity in me when I sell courses because I'm like, man, I really hope I'm not leading people astray. But every time I see these reviews, I get so happy because so many people went full time. They found a publisher or they sold a certain amount of copies and they were able to go full time. There's less than 80 seats available. It's 50% off. And there's 10 days left. You're going to learn not only 2D and 3D art, this is all free, by the way, and how to do YouTube and social media, and also how to get streamers to play your game. This is all free for the Black Friday sale. But this course here, the big one, the flagship course, as they say, is called Full-Time Game Dev. And that is all about how to come up with a great game idea, how to put together a game design Bible, how to build a studio brand, how to get wish lists using social media, how to hit the Steam front page, how to secure funding from a publisher with just a demo, how to get Kickstarter funding, how to hit the Steam front page, how to get press coverage. It is a big A course. And you don't have to take it all in one week. Don't do that. It's a resource for 2026, okay? For right now in 2026, I want you to have a resource that you can dive into. There's like 50 to 60 hours of content, I think. It's really massive, and I have 4,500 students. This is the biggest sale. After this sale, it's over. It's done, okay? Probably for a whole nother year. So if you want to get a massive sale and get a massive discount and a huge bundle of content from an actual indie game developer, this is it. This is the one. And also, hey, I'll make you feel good by giving you a shout out tomorrow in the live stream. All right, guys, come on in. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're actually going to open up a blank. It's kind of blank. We're going to open up a blank scene here in my own 3D game, Twisted Tower. And I thought this might be helpful, just looking at an actual 3D game. Okay, an actual project that is 3D. Come on in, guys. Come on in. Let me see here. Where's the chat? For some reason, the chat box is not showing up. And I can't quite put a finger on it. Let me see if I can get it up and running here. Close. For some reason, there it is. There it is. Okay, I got it, guys. Okay, let's get it twisted. All right, good. Hey, so let's take a look here really quick. Okay, who is this guy? Well, Thomas Brush, the guy who's live streaming right now, makes games, but he also does YouTube, okay? It's okay to do both, despite some comments that I get. It's okay to be a YouTuber and also make games. This is my game that I'm making, okay? Um, it's kind of Bioshocky, kind of Half-Life-y, right? Um, and so yeah, I know how to do this stuff. I know how to do interiors. Now, I have a team, okay? A team that made the artwork. I'm the art director, I'm the project lead, but it was a big team effort, and my hand has been in all of this stuff. But the 3D art is from a guy, a friend, a great friend named Felipe, okay? So Felipe, I love you, buddy. He did an incredible job on this artwork. But yeah, I want to show you how all of this is put together and how you can do it too, okay? And I'm going to come at this as if you guys really truly have no experience, okay? And I don't want, we're not going to focus on 3D modeling today because frankly, I don't really think you need to learn 3D modeling. You need to learn how to flip assets, but you don't necessarily have to learn 3D modeling, okay? All right, Jason, how you doing, buddy? Come on in, Jason. Guys, Jason's in the chat. And Jason is actually working on the project right now. Jason is responsible for localization. He's currently working on localization. So Jason, this is your little handiwork here. Very cool. He's doing a great job, aside from completely ruining the project 3 days ago. And I'm not even joking. That really wasn't Jason's fault. It was something happened. I don't know what it was, but we had a merge, and then all of my changes got lost, and I had worked like an 8-hour day. But I found all the I found all the changes and re-implemented them. And Jason, I'm being sarcastic, kind of. Okay, guys, what we're gonna do here, we're gonna start with a simple interior box. Okay, I've already got the character controller, and I'm working with a system that we've built. Okay, but all you're going to need is get a free character controller from the Unity asset store, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to start with just a very simple ProBuilder mesh, okay? Don't worry about all this stuff here. This elevator is required to get the game running, actually. It's so weird. Every scene needs an elevator, which is really bizarre. Yeah, we're going to, and don't worry about that either, okay? So these gizmos and stuff, just don't worry about them. So how is a 3D scene put together? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to create a cube. I always start with a cube, and I just like to zero it out. Okay, so there's our little cube here. Don't worry about these spawn points. Don't worry about any of that stuff. This is all from the system that I have in place for Twisted Tower, but you don't need all this stuff. Okay, so I start with a cube here. So if I hit play, I could stand on this cube. Okay. Pretty straightforward. So what we need to do is we need to expand the cube and invert the normals, invert the walls, okay? So I have something called ProBuilder installed, and you can just get that in the package manager, okay? And you can just go to the package manager and search for ProBuilder and install it. And ProBuilder it's not really a 3D art tool as much as it is a blockout tool, okay? And I'll talk to you in just a sec about what blockouts are, okay? But what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to click ProBuilderize. This is how I like to start my levels. Click ProBuilderize, and now I have the ability, as long as I have the ProBuilder window open, or the tab open, I can select faces. So I'm going to select this face here. I'm going to make sure that we're aligned with our grid here. So let's see here. I think I have to turn that on global. Yeah, if I turn that on global, I could sort of snap this to the grid here. Okay. And then this one I'm going to snap to the grid. And our grid is in 4 Unity meters. Okay. Now there's obviously another way to do this. Those of you who know ProBuilder, there's a better way to do this. I have had so many issues creating primitives with ProBuilder. So I like to start with the Unity primitive and then build it that way. But we're using 4 Unity meters here. You can see it's defined here in the grid. And I've got snapping on, so if I do this, it snaps to the grid. This is really important if you want to build and especially interiors. Or honestly, if you want to make a game, that has any form of platforming in it, like just jumping in general, you really want to have a grid. Okay, you really want to have a grid so that you know what your jump height is, and then your grid is associated with the jump height. Does that make sense? And by the way, guys, are we tracking here? So are we doing good so far? I'm not sure if I'm doing a good job here. Are we okay? Are we good? All right. And is the audio peaking? Are we good? For some reason, I'm getting paranoid here. Okay, we're good? We're good. All right, so there is our box here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it 8 by 8. I can do it that way. Or, this is something Felipe taught me. Or I could take all of this. I could select all of this. Okay, we're just going to go to select all. Or select face ring. And then loop. Okay. Or what we can do is if I invert the normals, where's my normals? Yeah, flip normals. If I flip the normals, now I can go inside. And then all I got to do is just push. If I hold shift and push, look. Notice how I'm holding shift. That's extruding. If I just do this, it's moving it. We don't want that. We want to push it. And this is especially important if you're creating interiors because you want a nice, clean grid. Okay? You want a nice, clean grid. I don't know why that's flickering. I think that's because of the canvas right there. Yeah. Like I said, there's various elements in the scene that are associated with Twisted Tower. Okay. So we have this very simple interior box, right? If I turn on the lighting by clicking this, by turn on, I mean turn on the visibility of the lighting in the scene. It doesn't mean that the lighting's actually going away. It just turns it off so we can see while we work. But if I turn it on, you can see we've got some ambient occlusion from the post-processing. We're not going to talk about post-processing for today's video, but you can see here we have a very simple box. And I can go to my lighting tab and click environment here and just increase the brightness of very generic, flat lighting. This is not my favorite thing that Unity has, I'll be honest. Having their ambient lighting in the lighting tab as opposed to being a game object is so bizarre to me. More bizarre than anything I've ever experienced in my life. Why is the ambient light in the environment tab and not its own game object that I can control? What in the world? And the problem is that when you bake, this is gone. There's no way to do a flat ambient light in Unity. You can bake it with an area light, but you cannot get a simple flat. I can't even believe I'm saying this out loud. When I say it out loud, it's so insane. There's nothing in Unity that allows you to do a flat ambient light. So you can adjust it here. That's fine. But if you're going to do light baking, which we're not going to cover today, good luck. Okay. All right. Here we go. Hey, Illyrio. Hey, Simo. Hey, Satehish. Maslin, Monty, how you doing? Come on in. Okay, so if I hit play here, you can see that we now have an interior. Where'd it go? There. Why am I falling through it? Oh, I'm falling through it because there's no collider. So make sure that you turn on. You remove I'm going to remove it. It had a primitive box collider on it. We're going to turn on a mesh collider here. Okay, so there's our mesh collider. I'm not sure why it looks like that, to be completely honest. I'm not sure why it's doing that. We're good. Yeah, I'm not sure why the mesh collider looks like that, but okay, now it's gone. That's so weird. Okay, so the question is, okay, how do we make hallways? Well, hold shift and push. I'm going to scale this up a little bit more. Looks like we have an issue here with this face, so we're going to delete this face here. And I honestly couldn't tell you why that happened. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, yeah, of course, Thomas. Use your brain. Sorry. You got to grab both and then push. Right? Let's also do it this way. We're going to grab all four. So you want to be careful that when you're pushing or extruding, you don't do it one at a time, but you grab the ones you want, okay? I'm gonna hide the game manager here because it's causing that flickering. There we go. And what's cool, guys, is we're gonna actually create sort of a backrooms feel here. And by the way, backrooms, I think, I've never made backrooms before, but I think backrooms is like one of the easiest type of games to make. You make an Enderman, and then you just make halls. Now, if you keep extruding like this, one grid unit at a time, it's a lot easier to texture your floor, or to texture your interior. We'll talk about that in a second. But you want to do it one at a time. Also, you could do it this way if we open up the extrude menu and just click. See? All right. Pretty straightforward, right? And let's say we want to do one down this way, and then one down this way as well. Okay. So this is how interiors are done in games. Especially for like a classic 90s game, like a Half-Life, this is the way they're going to do it. Make sense? So now we have a pretty cool looking interior. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so we have some small halls. It's really we can go a little bit bigger. We could go like this size here and push. It's important for you to know the exact size that you're ready to commit to. In fact, I was watching during a documentary with about Half-Life. They had a whole scene, and I think most studios have this. They had a whole scene where every size and unit size was like printed on various textures throughout the level. So they know exactly how big a door is, exactly how big a hall is, exactly how big doors and halls. I'm thinking doors, halls, how big a platform is, how big a railing is, right? Okay, so we can extrude this. Now we can have a bigger hall here, right? So it's pretty straightforward, honestly. Once you get the hang of using ProBuilder, pretty straightforward. You can imagine how they made Portal with this kind of tool, right? Now, this is not a Boolean tool. Boolean tools are, you use something called brushes, and you take an object, and I can put a cube inside of the mesh, and it will cut it out in real time. And I can move that cube around, and it will bool it out. It'll cut it out. In this case, we're using extrusion. We're actually affecting the mesh. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's hit play and walk around, and then I'm going to show you, we're going to move on to texturing, okay? And just remember, those of you just joining us, you can get 50% off Full-Time Game Dev. It is Black Friday, so I do a lot of ad reads for Black Friday. But you get 50% off Full-Time Game Dev, which is my massive program, which teaches all about game dev. It's taught from an actual indie game dev who's currently published by 3D Realms, so feel free to check that out. See if it's something you're interested in. All right, so this feels kind of backroomsy, wouldn't you say? Now, if you ever get confused about the scale of something, because a lot of times what happens is you're in a scene and you're like, okay, this looks huge. And then when you enter play mode, it's not huge, right? Well, one of the tricks of the trade is to put a primitive into the scene. And as long as I know how big that primitive is relative to the character controller, I could get a better idea of how big the scene is. So I know that my character controller, and by the way, this is typical of most games, your character controller should be twice as big as a cube, a primitive cube. If I want to move this cube, by the way, and I want it to snap to the grid, I can hold V. Let me close out. Let me go to object mode. I can hold V here and click, and snaps to that corner there. And then I can just drag it over here. Now it's stuck to the floor perfectly. So now if I enter play mode here, the cube is half the size of the player. Okay. Although the player might be a little bit taller than that, wouldn't you say? Okay, so yeah, now that gives us a better idea when we're working. If I have a cube in the scene, I can go, okay, well, I actually want my ceilings to be a little bit taller, you know? So I could do that. I could push my ceilings up to be a little bit taller, right? If I hold shift, I can just pop up, boom. Or I can press the extrude up, right? And that is the big problem with not using a Boolean tool, but instead using ProBuilder. It gets very, very fussy when you start doing stuff like that, where you want to push it up. If I click extrude here, you start to see some weird stuff going on. So it's a very limited tool. And again, that's why a backrooms style game is super, super easy to make with a tool like this. I'm going to make a big hall down here. Super spooky backrooms. And then let's make a giant lobby. So I could take this here. All right, let's do this here. And then we'll move on to texturing, I promise. Is this making sense so far, guys? We're going to do a giant ass lobby here. Any questions so far? Lately, you've been doing your environments, blockouts in Blender. Yeah, you can definitely do that. And also, I totally agree with what you're saying. If you keep it as a blend file, it's pretty straightforward. Because you could just import that blend file into Unity. So I'm just going to take this little ceiling piece and I'm going to punch it up. So it's this very broad, wide, sort of spooky liminal space. See? Isn't that crazy, guys? Now let me show you why I love ProBuilder so much. Because unwrapping a texture in ProBuilder is super straightforward. Or unwrapping the mesh and putting a texture on there. So I could go to like wallpaper striped, and I have all these different wallpapers that I use in Twisted Tower. I'm going to take this yellow one here and put it there. Now you might be thinking, man, that's really ugly. The way that we fix that is we select all of the same material. So if we go select by material, select them all, go to our UV editor here. Don't worry. Honestly, after 4 years of making games or making 3D games, 5 years really, I don't use the UV editor much. All I do is convert to auto and click 4. Now, weirdly enough, I've kind of matured as a game developer. I don't know why this was the case for me, but I always wanted to make the textures bigger than they should be. It always felt like I was like a mouse. Everything was huge. So I'm going to do 2 here. I think that's different than what it was. Let me hit play here, and then we're gonna grab the backrooms texture. I want to show you how to use texture, do texture work, and then we'll do lighting. Okay, so now we're in a spooky backrooms environment. You can grab our guns here. Apparently there was a secret area there, and now it's getting smaller, right? Stuff like that can be fixed. I'll show you in a sec. And this kind of thing is my fault. Okay. So I did something wrong there. So bigger environments tend to feel much better. This feels great. All right, so let's talk about texture work, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and find the backrooms texture. Give me just a sec. I'm sure it's all over Google. Thomas, I just got back from Godot to Unity. About performance, is ProBuilder too tricky? ProBuilder is not great, but it's the tool we have, okay? It's not a great tool, but it's fine. It's fine. It can be very slow. I'm going to grab this backroom texture here. There's plenty here, right? And I'm going to actually just, all of my textures, guys, are PSD files. So those are Photoshop documents. And I can just add it into this Photoshop document, which, by the way, let's see here, is 509 by 509. I don't know why it's 509 by 509, but that's okay. Welcome to game dev. So if we go to the Backrooms texture here, I'm going to save this. Actually, I'm just going to copy it. And I'm going to make it snapped perfectly to the size of this document. So it's a perfect loop. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to save that PSD and watch this. It'll update. There we go. There's our Backrooms wallpaper. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at how Backrooms looks. Backrooms game. There we go. So there's that. So we need to go a little bit bigger. And then we're going to do the ceiling and then the floor. Okay. So let's start with the size of the texture is a little too small, actually. So I was wrong. I'm going to select by material. There we go. And I'm going to do 4. Very good. Nice. What's that black line there? Boy, I couldn't tell you. What is that? Oh, yes. There we go, guys. And I'm not sure if this is a seamless texture or not, but we're going to take a look and see. It's kind of seamless. It'll do for now for this webinar or for this workshop. All right, let's go into the Backrooms environment. Okay, I think it needs to be a little bit bigger, the wallpapers. Looks great, though. I really like it. Let's just go a little bit bigger. We're going to select by material. And I think we might need to do 8. Could I be wrong here? Let's hit play. Yeah, that looks good. I was wrong. Okay. We have ceiling tile as well. And we're going to talk about materials and their various properties in just a sec here. We're going to go to Backrooms, ceiling, tile, texture. It's so funny. It's like everything's here now. Or what am I trying to say? Everyone's making a Backrooms game. So this is just what happens. Everybody wants to make a Backrooms game, baby. All right, so there's this one. And I'll show you guys how we can flip textures here to our advantage. So I'm going to save this as ceiling tile. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm just going to create a new material here. I'm going to duplicate this one with Control D and do wallpaper ceiling tile. And I'm just going to throw in a ceiling tile. There it is. Into the albedo slot here. So this is my material. I'm going to select my ceiling here. And welcome to ProBuilder, by the way. Selection is pretty awful. And we'll look at the tools here and see if there's an easier way to select ceiling points. Okay, so let's select that material here, and it's right here, material. I have a lot of materials in this game. How did I spell it? Really? I thought I just made it. There it is. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and just set this to 2. No, we're going to set it to... Again, we're going to select by material here, and we're going to set it to 16. It's pretty good. All right, let's take a look here and see how it looks. I always love to enter play mode just to take a look. So we can adjust this and change the way it looks. Don't freak out. What we want to do is just go ahead and add all of our ceiling pieces to various elements. Okay, so we could do all this here and just select all the way down. Just start adding our ceiling tile. We have a weird issue there. Hey, we're doing this live, so I'm not too upset with myself. Just select all of our goodies here. All of our ceiling pieces. And I'll show you how to do trim in a second. There we go. Sweet. We'll just do a little bit more. I'm not going to do the whole map. But you can imagine why listening to a podcast might be really wonderful when making a level design, because you're just kind of flying around, adding. It's like playing Sims. Once you figure it out, it's super chill. All right, so there we go. We have our ceiling tile here, right? Pretty cool. And I feel like there's just too many tile pieces going on. I wonder if we can find a different one. That one's probably better. Ooh. No. That's it. That's the one, baby. Yay. Okay. That'll look so much better. There we go. Okay. Now, if we take a look at back rooms, right? We look at the ceiling pieces. They're kind of yellowy, right? Well, we could do it in Unity, right? We can go down here to where our material is and adjust the color of the ceiling tile. You can see two materials are inside of our ProBuilder mesh here. I could change this one to be a little bit darker, just like here. Okay. That looks fine. You'll notice that it doesn't look very, very good. That's because we're not using any lighting right now. Right now, it's just flat lighting from the skybox. I'm going to show you guys here in a second how lighting is going to completely transform the scene. Absolutely change everything. Okay. Yeah, this is for study only. I would never release a game just pulling textures from Google. That's a bad idea. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it looks terrible because we have no fog and we have no skybox, or we have no lighting. So I'm going to show you all that in a second, I promise. The floor, okay? The carpet texture. We're going to go back rooms, carpet texture. And I'm going to talk to you guys about normal maps as well, okay? So let's just grab this ugly ass carpet and I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to make sure it's looping perfectly. And you can see that it was going to loop perfectly because it had the purple line there. There you go. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. So I'm going to call this carpet. Okay. And we'll make this look prettier, I promise. Adding trim is going to be, it could be a game changer, honestly. I'm going to select all this crap here. Actually, let's go ahead and create our carpet texture. I'm just going to duplicate that. Control D, material, carpet. Now, materials in Unreal are a little bit more complicated, and I'm sure that that's a good thing. I don't know why they are, but they are. In Unity's case, a material it's just a material and it has different slots. And you have the albedo, which is the texture. You have the normal map, which creates in the case of the carpet, it's going to look like it has little rivets in it, depending on where the directional light is coming from. If you don't have directional light, you will not see the normal map, because normal maps and specular information and metallic information are, yes, they're all based on a directional light. You cannot see specular, you cannot see metallic, and you cannot see normal maps without some directional light coming from somewhere. That's where you're going to get a shine from, or you're going to get a shadow and a highlight. I'll show you in a sec, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and find that carpet. I'm going to throw that in here. I have a lot of carpet in this game, but this one's called standard carpet. And you can see here that I should be able to, what did I call it? Material carpet. Okay. I'm going to just grab all this, and you can actually do it this way as well. If I go to a top view, It's a lot easier. As long as you have select hidden off, we can do a cool highlight here. And just highlight all of the... in fact, I will say, I'm curious if we can just do this. As long as we're in isometric mode. Yeah, so you can see it selected most of them correctly, just not these. So I can just deselect those. I should be able to. Goodness. Well, I'm not going to worry about those right now. I don't even know what those are. But I'm not going to worry about it. We're just going to keep moving forward. Okay. Material. Carpet. There it is. There's our carpet. And there's our ceiling. And again, we could do the same for our ceiling. If I go to isometric mode here, I should be able to look at our ceiling pieces. Yeah, there we go. So if I go like this, come on, Tom. I just saw it. There we go. So there's our ceiling. As long as... What's going on? There we go. As long as I do this here and just select them all, I can do the ceiling as well. Right? So that's another way to select things. Does that make sense? So we have our carpet and our ceiling. Pretty cool. Now you notice the carpet's super dark. Is that okay? Well, let's double check and see what the Backrooms world looks like. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. Let's go to Photoshop here. Increase the brightness. Decrease the contrast. Save it. And then it should just update on the fly for us. And I'm just going to make it like this. Whoops. Wrong one. Hey. There we go. Ugh. Looks like my grandma's apartment. I never really knew my grandma very well. But this is kind of what I'm thinking it would look like. Sweet, guys. You want to enter play mode and take a look? So far, so good, huh? You're probably thinking that looks ugly. Yes, I'll show you what we're going to do there. So far, so good. That is driving me nuts. I don't know what happened there. It's embarrassing. It's just absolutely embarrassing. What did happen there? I will never know. Can I delete that face? Let's delete it. No, we can't delete it. There's something going on up here. Clean up on aisle 5. Oh my goodness. Okay, whatever. We're not going to worry about it right now. Okay, let's talk about trim. The rule is, and I was just talking to Chad, and Chad, if you're in the chat, hello, Chad. But I was just talking to my buddy Chad, and he works with Saber, who is the publisher or the parent company of 3D Realms, which is publishing my game. Chad was playing Twisted Tower, and he saw, I don't do this often, but he did see a mistake where something did this. One texture went directly to another. This doesn't happen in the real world in interiors. There's always some kind of trim, right? And so what you want to do is if you select a perpendicular edge here, you can insert an edge loop. See that? And I can click this to drag down as long as I'm holding control, because control is incremental movement. This is snapping at full grid movement, and this is incremental. I could do another trim piece here. We're going to do incremental movement. There we go. Yep, that looks good. Same here. So the rule when we were working on Twisted Tower was only put your trim in when you know the level's done. So I'm kind of jumping the gun here just to show you trim. But don't do trim until you're absolutely sure, because this is very hard to tweak. So like I said, there's something going on here with these faces. I'm not going to worry about it though. So I can select this, and I should be able to select an edge ring. And I already have trim in this game, so I'm just going to use that. Let's see here. Here we go. So that's a white trim. Let's see if I have another one. Yeah, wood trim here. There we go. I have wood trim there. And then I can maybe, just maybe. No, this one's going to be a little bit harder to do. But trim is a great way to make your level feel a little bit more architectural or like real. And it makes those moments where you just have to change from one texture to another not look so jarring. And guys, I'm doing this really quick and so there's some issues here like that piece right there. But hopefully you get the idea. I'm just trying to teach while I do this. There we go. So that's I really want to figure out what happened here. My theory is it just went, yeah, there we go. Well, there you go, guys. So there's our trim. That one needs to be pushed over a little bit, but we're not going to worry about it. So yeah, you can have trim. Now this trim is super dark. So like I said, we can open up our trim texture and then save it in Photoshop and it will update automatically. Does that make sense? The interview with Chris was amazing. Well, that's awesome. I love Chris so much. He's just so fun. So do you guys see why that trim was important? We'll fix that UV in a second. Does that make sense why the trim is so freaking important? Now, going from this to this, you don't necessarily need a trim, but it will help. Yes, it will. It will help you. So let's try it. And then we'll move on to lighting, I promise. Select the ring. I'm sorry, the loop. Ding! And then just bring in that material. See? Are you guys learning anything here? Thomas, I'm a huge fan of Saber Interactive, who made Warhammer. They're amazing. They make really awesome games. Yeah, they're the parent company of 3D Realms, which is, again, my publisher. Okay. So this we can fix. I want to show you how to fix this. The only time that I'll ever really use the UV editor, if I click here, UV editor, is to fix issues like this, where ProBuilder just didn't know what to do with it. So if you click this little icon here, it looks like a bunch of arrows. It allows you to move the UV in the scene view. So if I go to rotation here, I can actually rotate it like that. It's 270, so we're going to do, make sure it's, what's the 90 plus 90 plus 90 is it 275? No, it's 270. Yeah. And then I can just shift it over a little bit. There we go. Looks fine enough to me. Oh, Thomas has a headache. Oh no, what am I going to do? Drink water. I mean, can I get a round of applause how this looks pretty freaking good already? I'm like, part of the reason why I did this workshop is I was like, you know what? I want to make Backrooms today. Backrooms is so simple. Let's make sure we go to our UV editor. And we're going to do it exactly at 270. What the F? Hold on. We're getting some weird unwrapping there. I have to set it to planar for this. Yep. Get some weird unwrapping there. But you can always fix it manually, baby. I wonder why that is. I feel like there's a better way to do this. Let's see here. Turn off the offset. There we go. There was just an offset on it. There we go, guys. Okie dokie. Artichoke. All right. So that's how you do trim. I could do trim at the base as well, but we don't want it to look too good. Is there any trim in back rooms? Sometimes. This one has like a 3D trim. We're not going to worry about that. Now, let's talk about lighting here, okay? Well, I can actually create an emissive that's a ceiling light, like these here. So I want to show you how to do that. Let's go ahead and create a new texture here. We're going to actually start with the ceiling tiles. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to scale up this ceiling tile like this. And we're just going to create a very simple ceiling light, like this. And we're going to talk about emissives in a second. Emissives are super valuable if you're going to make a 3D game. And I'm just going to put a little drop shadow on this, like this right here. And then maybe a little bevel. Nothing too crazy here. Actually, let's do an inner shadow. Here, set it to normal. And another one here. Okay, so we're going to have our little ceiling light here. What happened here? Turn off the bevel and emboss. There we go. All right, some kind of really simple ceiling light, okay? What I like to do is I like it to look fine, and I'll save it as a PSD. I won't export it as a PNG. I want it to look fine. And then what I'll do is I'll put it in the game, and then all of a sudden my brain starts to, and then I can figure out, oh, it doesn't look good because of this X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to take that ceiling tile, duplicate it. We're going to call this ceiling light. This will be really cool, I promise. If I go to my ceiling light here, drag it in, I'm going to turn off the normal maps for that. Oh, sorry, that was the wallpaper. Okay. Ceiling light. Where did you go, buddy? Where's my ceiling light? I just had it. I think I overrid it by going Control Zing. Okay, there it is. Oh, yeah, we have one there, and then we have one here as well. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and put it here for now. Okay, there's our ceiling light. You'll see that it's just the wallpaper. We don't want that, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to that texture here, and I'm going to throw in my ceiling light texture. Okay, not on that one, on the ceiling light. There we go. Turn off the normal map. Good. And we're going to see if we can set it to 4. So this is one way, and what I might do is turn this into a decal. So hang tight. Okay, I get a 1 or 8 or 16. But the problem is that I then have to go here and move it over. Now, is that okay? I think so. I think that's okay. But do I want to do it every time? So the other option is to take this and to separate it. I think we could detach it here. Yep, there it is. We have a decal now. I'm going to call this the light decal. And I'm going to go ahead and, hey, let's make a prefab out of it. That's totally fine to do. We call it light decal. Now I have this, okay? I want to make sure that still exists, but I need to go back in time. I think I can go back in time without the light decal being removed. Yep, it's still there. Good. Okay, so we have our light decal. Let's bring back the material. We're going to remove this material here. And then now we can go to our light decal that we just made. And I can just drag it in here. There it is. Set it to 0. Rotation. Where did it go? Where did you go, buddy boy? I'm not sure why. I think we need to change its rotation to pivot. There it is. And if we set it to 0, 0, 0, it should, what? I think its pivot is in a weird spot. Okay, so we have this. I'm going to say hit apply, or not hit apply. I'm going to move it up here, just right about there. Set it to -90. There we go. And we should be able to just put it right there. Okay, I'm going to make sure it's just brought down just a tad there. So now we have our light decal. Does that make sense? So we can have a light decal here. We can even put it there if we wanted to. Not really great. So I'm thinking that's pretty good. Good. So just 2 there. You can even put 1 here, actually. So it's nice and even. Good. And then let's go ahead and add not a point light to these. And I'll tell you why in a sec. We're going to add an emissive. Okay. I just hit my microphone. We're going to add an emissive to this decal. So the way we're going to add an emissive is I'm going to go back to my texture here, and I'm going to say, okay, I know I want this to be an emissive. I'm going to mess with it just a little bit. I'm going to maybe fade the edges a little bit so it's almost like the light can't get through on this side. So this is our emissive map. I'm going to save this, a ceiling light emissive map. There we go. And by the way, if you're just joining us, remember you can check out Full-Time Game Dev below, which is my massive course, which teaches you not only everything I've learned in the last decade about making games, the production side of games, whether it's 3D or 2D in Unity, Godot, or Unreal. The Godot and the Unreal stuff are taught by my buddies. I teach the Unity stuff in the course. But it's also going to include stuff about pitching to publishers, how to market your game, how to hit the Steam front page. It's an awesome course. So check it out below. It's 50% off for Black Friday. Yeah, so check it out below. And by the way, if you're a student, let me know in the chat what you think about the program. Okay. All right, we have our ceiling light. I'm going to turn emission on, and I'm going to go ahead and go to our emissive map. And I'm going to drag that into the emission map here. And if we turn it on, we should be able to get some brightness here. Let's wait for URP to catch up. There we go. Isn't that cool, guys? I can crank up the intensity here. I could even have them flicker. You want to see how we can make them flicker? Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to create a new animation. I'm going to call this, I'm just going to save it in the other folder. Light emissive flicker. Backrooms. Something like that, okay? I don't care. And I'm going to turn on record mode here. And I'm just going to adjust the intensity value. And I don't like crazy intense and annoying light flickering. So I'm going to just keep it really simple. Yeah, just like that. Isn't that cool, guys? I'm going to hit apply to the prefab. So this one will have that animation as well. But you know, I can also go into this prefab here. And I have a cool script that I've been using this for 5 years. Just a simple script called set animator speed. And I could say a value between 0.8 and 1.1. Because 1 is the normal speed, 0 is frozen. So if I hit play here, you'll see that they're going to be out of sync, which is good. You see? Okay, so let's go ahead and add in some lighting here. I don't know what happened there, and I don't love that. Let's see here. What is that? Oh, okay. So we're going to collapse these vertices here. We have an issue here where for some reason, the vertices got disconnected. So I'm going to collapse them. Make sense? Not really. It doesn't matter. Okay, guys. So right now we have no lighting. Okay. Right now we only are using the skybox as our light source with this horrible ambient lighting slider. I'm going to keep that on just for now. And I'm going to turn on our fog. Now our fog is on a little bit. So this is what it is with it on. I'm going to turn it, let's see here. There's ways to make games feel like they're dark without them being dark. So I just wanted to show you this really quick. If I set the fog value to this here, it actually almost looks like it's lit by me holding a candle. right? And that's not because there's no light. It's because it's actually a really dense black fog. You can see if I change it to this, it's even worse. It's very dark. So you can mimic darkness with fog. Or the other way to do it, and this is actually really important. I'm not just randomly talking, because these are things we have to do in certain levels of Twisted Tower. Or you can say, well, no, you know what? We're not going to have any fog. We're going to turn it off. We're going to turn off the skybox, though, and I'm actually just going to light the scene with very dramatic point lights. So I could put one right in the middle of these two. Thomas, put them on both. There's no reason to, guys. There's no reason to. This is, if there's anything I want you to take away from this workshop, it's that you do not need to practically light the scene. And by practically, I mean it's literal. The problem with literal lighting is look, how many lights are in this room right now? I mean, in my office, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then my windows, 8, 9, and then my monitors, 10, 11, 12. Half of those aren't even turned on, for one. And number two, if we wanted all those lights to be on and we wanted all those shadows to be on, in the real world, somehow it works. In Unity, it's going to catch fire. You're going to have everything rendering shadows. You're going to have everything casting a light. Number one, it's horrible for optimization. And number two, it actually doesn't look very good. But Thomas, it's not realistic. Well, guess what? If you've ever been on a movie set, you'll notice that behind the camera, they've got these big lights. They've got like a big key light. And that's sort of creating this soft light throughout the whole scene. They're faking lighting. Real lighting doesn't look very good, especially in interiors. So we need to act like we're a filmmaker here and create drama. And we need to optimize it at the same time. So here's what I mean. Lighting is everything, guys. Lighting is absolutely everything. It's so important. Isn't that cool? So pretty. Now, I always have the temptation to go hardcore. I'm always tempted to go hardcore orange. Don't do that. Don't be like me. Treat it like a real... This is where you do want to treat it like a real scene. In a real scene, even in movies, it's a subtle... Sometimes it's just white light. If there was anything I wish I did in Twisted Tower, it was that. Just a wider light source. And not feel like I need to make everything look so dramatic with like hyper colorful lighting. Let's do one more light down here. I want to show you how we can create drama. Again, we want to be thinking. I'm going to turn off the light visibility here in scene view. We want to be thinking like a director here, okay? I want you to think like a director. What do I mean? Don't be thinking practically. I want you to be thinking, well, what looks cool? Okay, so I'll just take this one here and paste it here. Well, let's think about it. What would look cool here? Well, what if I peek down the hall? Ooh. Right, that's cool. So I'm going to paste this one back to where it was. There we go. That's eerie, isn't it? Now, it already looks pretty dang good, right? But we could take it a step further, and I'll show you what I mean. Shadows are incredibly expensive. Now, the reason you guys saw it fade out like that is because I have a system for light occlusion. I'm going to remove that, okay? I'll remove that for you. The lights by default get this occluder put on it in Twisted Tower. I'm going to remove that. How's this look, guys? Why did it... Hold on. It's doing it even in play mode, so I have to set it to exclude. There we go. Okay. That looks really good, actually. I'm actually really impressed. I kind of want to make this game. Oh no, Thomas, don't be that way. Finish your first game. Okay, I'm going to turn on some shadows. So you can see here how shadows can create some real drama. See that? I could reduce the strength of the shadows so it's not obnoxious. But look at that. See that? That stuff matters, guys. These little layers here create depth. It's very important. The same is true here. Look, I could, again, I'm thinking like a director. Well, how do we create, how are we going to create some cool shadows? Well, if we put this over here, and I'm dead serious, you need to be thinking this way. If you put something here, well, now I can create a shadow here. Ah, Thomas, I see what you mean. Of course you do. I'm Thomas. Look at this. Isn't that cool, guys? This is how a scene is set up. Okay. This is how a scene is set up in most 3D games. It starts with a very simple block out, and then it goes from there. Let's add some ambient sound, and then some music. So the ambient sound, I'm just going to set it to, let's see here, 3D game music. I'm just going to put a UI, I'm sorry, an audio source in here and have it loop. Here we go. I'm going to set it to 2D. Make sure it's set to loop. And then I can turn on some ambience. I have a bunch of cool ambience. We have one for the apartment. Cave. Cliff. What is this? Heart monitor. Honeymoon suite. Lots of good stuff. Where's the, let's see here, hotel. Yeah, we'll do this one just for now. I'm going to set it to a pitch of 0.8. I'm going to set the volume to 0.4. And then we can also do some music. We'll do Castlevania. I always love putting creepy Castlevania music in here. I should have it. It's called Annex. Yeah, there it is. Annex Silent Madness, one of my favorite songs ever written. I set it to 0.9 and then hit play. And you'll notice there's a subtle light attached to the player. It sort of mimics the eye, the retina expanding in dark places. Resident Evil Village does that. Cool, guys? I don't know why that's disappearing. I think it's because it's there's occlusion culling data on this level. I need to delete it. This is creepy. There we go. All right. And again, a huge thank you to Loic, Whitney, Montrell, Martin, Andreas, and Tony. Brian, Seth, those are all the new ones. The other ones I've already shouted you guys out. Again, guys, as we wrap up here, first off, do we want to do another one of these? Do we want to do I want to show you some set dressing and more lighting techniques and nav mesh techniques and all that? Would you guys like to see that tomorrow? Yes or no in the chat? while you guys let me know yes or no in the chat, one final shout out for Black Friday. I know I do a lot of these ad reads, but I do this every year when I have a big Black Friday sale. I want to let you know, it's 50% off right now, okay? 50% off full-time game dev. Everything I've learned in the last, it's like half of my life since I was 18. So more than a decade. Everything I've learned is in this course. 2D, 3D, coding, Unity. There's also Godot or Unreal, taught by some buddies of mine. You could pick whichever engine you want to learn. But you're also going to, learn how to pitch to publishers, how to get funding with just a demo, how to get funding on Kickstarter, how to hit the Steamfront page, how to get press coverage. All of this stuff, you might be thinking, well, why should I listen to this guy? Well, I've done it all. I've done all of that stuff. I've been funded multiple times on Kickstarter. You can look up my projects. Just Google Thomas Brush Kickstarter, and you'll see both of my projects. I've been published 3 times. I'm currently published by 3D Realms, wrapping up my 3rd commercial release. So you're going to learn from an actual indie dev. This is not going to be on sale like this for another year, okay? I may do it during the holiday, but this is the big one. This is the big one. So check it out below. Thomas, is it all BS? Well, ask my students. Okay, these aren't just like, it's great. Although I appreciate those reviews. These are like, no, I actually went full time, which is so cool. I just think that's so awesome. So check it out below, and I'll give you a big fat shout out in this new students little panel here. So you want me to do another one tomorrow? You want me to do another one tomorrow? Maybe I'll do a day 2. But this is great, actually. Guys, this feels like the school is offline. ETA when it will be back up. What do you mean? Alex O'Brien, what do you mean? You said the school is offline. ETA when it will be back up. What do you mean? Is it not up? Should be. Alex, let me know. Post-processing is currently on, actually. I'll turn it off so you can see how it looks without it. I actually am getting, the older I get, the sicker and sicker I get of post-processing. I kind of want it out of my life. I don't know why. They might have the old link to the school. You can email thomas@fulltimegamedev.com and we'll solve that for you. I kind of hate post-processing. I don't know why. Something in me is like craving clean lines, no bloom, no nothing. Guys, it's so cool to see like all the different things you can do. All the cool things, like it's just creating levels is so fun. You just go, you know what? I want to create a hellhole right here. Why not? This is just one of the funnest things to do. It's kind of addicting to just build a giant world and just see what happens. How's it feel? I had the old link bookmarked. I had to change my password. Yes, email thomas@fulltimegamedev and we'll get that sorted for you. And I'm really sorry about that. We moved to the school a year and a half or 2 years ago. The school got moved to a different platform. Kind of puts things in perspective, guys. Kind of puts things in perspective of how a Backrooms game is made. How do you leave a review for the course? You can only leave positive reviews. I'm just kidding. Email me and we'll see about putting it on the website. But you can also go to Trustpilot. There's plenty on Trustpilot. All right.